We get this from time to time when we finally meet people. They're like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you're talking to me," and I'm like, no big deal, right? And then you just think how silly it is because they don't want to bother you or they don't want to inconvenience you or they think you won't recognize who they are or know who they are or have time for them. But I mean, like, you and I have known each other for a while, and right. we've always been cool,
right?
But there's times when like we'll talk and you're like, yeah, I didn't want to reach out to you because I know you're busy,
right?
But I'm like, but this is like, how would I know that I can help you? Or if you needed something, like I'm gonna make time,
right?
Yeah. Right. So,
but you always do, man. I appreciate that.
Man, I'm trying to be a good teammate. Thanks for joining this week on the Elite Sales Podcast. I'm joined in studio this week by Jorge Leon. Did I say better?
That's perfect.
All right. And John Bacaron.
What's going on?
And then we got Yoel engineering the show behind the scenes. All right. He threw the I love you sign. Yep. But yeah, just quick announcement. Next Thursday, located here in this office, we have, or actually across all the offices in FFL, there's the business overview meetings, which is if you're brand new to the industry or you have candidates that you want to introduce this to, just send them on down to one of these offices. They're going to talk about the opportunity. They're going to talk about how you get started, what's needed, how people make money here, how people can build a business, all that good stuff. So anything relevant to the business, you can just send people in and they'll get an opportunity to learn. Me, myself, we're actually hosting our business overview here in the office here in Los Angeles, Gardena, California. So if you guys have anybody in the Southern California area that you would like to introduce this opportunity to, and it's also not limited to just brand new people. If you have existing agents that are not really doing anything right now, if they don't know where to start, maybe they got a little stuck, they need to get out that rut, send them on in. And if you yourself want to come in and participate and join, love to have you. In addition to the business overview, I'm pretty sure we're going to be having a little bit of a mixer, so we're going to get a chance to have people in. You guys will be in, right?
Right.
Yeah. So you guys get a chance to talk to some of the other people that have been around for a little bit longer. We're gonna buy some food, drinks, maybe. We'll have a good time, whatever it may be.
We'll have an Eventbrite invitation.
Yeah, we're going to be sending out an RSVP link. So check out our Instagram, our Facebook pages.
You need a ticket to get in.
It's like a Willy Wonka golden ticket. But in addition, I'll also be training on the introduction into annuities. So for people that are a little curious about that, they haven't gotten started on that. People may think it's a very complicated process, which I promise you it's not. But I mean, you do need to start somewhere. So if you're interested or you have people that may be interested, and I think that's a good introduction for people that are kind of looking into the industry, because do you know much about annuities?
Very little, man.
Do you know there's money there?
I've seen it.
Okay. And John's done quite a few annuities. So the thing is, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people, and I get a lot of calls from, across the agency and across the company from other people that say like, hey, I have an annuity opportunity. I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
And I'm like, cool. I mean, I'll help you out. So, just something to get people started, get people rolling with it.
Yeah.
And I think, all of us came from the same company before.
Mm-hmm.
And then we all had no idea how annuities worked because we didn't
know it existed.
I mean, or it sounded too good to be true. Or like
we didn't even know what a return of premium was. We thought that was fake too.
Yeah.
IUL was a scam.
Yeah, man.
So there's a lot to learn about the industry. So if we're able to shed a little bit of extra light, you're able to, or if that's what the people that you talk to or have asked about, inquired about, been a little bit interested, into learning more about, send them on down. So we'd love to meet them. If you're showing up, we can't wait to see you guys there. As far as the overall FFL, I mean, 45 million the month of October. We don't have our numbers just yet. Issue paid numbers for week 1. Hoping to have that soon. But in order for us to be able to do that, it's not just one person is going to write $45 million or issue pay 45 million. It's a total team effort. So everyone that's on this call, if you guys are watching and you guys are already contracted, need you guys to do your part. Teamwork is a very integral part. So that's something that we'll be talking about today. It's a very integral part in not just this business, but any business altogether. If you want to grow a big business, if you're a lone wolf and you're good with just you. It's just team of one, and you're good with that for the rest of your life. I mean, more power to you.
It's awesome.
Yeah. But, I think for these guys and everyone on the leadership, chat that we had, and we had a little meeting, I don't think there was anybody that said they want to sell insurance for the rest of their life because they have to. Doesn't mean that you won't, because there's a lot of people that enjoy it. And a lot of times those opportunities will continue to come up. So, you may want to do it. And, you want to do it because you want to. You don't want to do it because you have to. Right. So how do you leverage teamwork? That's something that, we're going to dive into a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Have you guys tried out the real-time leads yet?
Yeah.
CRM?
I haven't had the chance.
Okay.
I've had 2 presentations so far. 3. A few of them are like, okay, they do all remember filling something out. I had a phone appointment. I needed to do a doctor appointment, so I needed to follow up on. And another lady, she was kind of unemployed. Felt pretty bad about her, but so far so good. They're responding. So for the cost of the lead, it's not somebody saying, I don't remember filling anything out. So it's just more. I don't have a full data yet because it's just the first, I would say, 7 days. I started last week on Tuesday. It comes in. I'm only doing 20 a week just to trial on top of what the lead sources I'm using now. So far so good.
Yeah, it's too early. I think this bugged the crap out of John and one of our other close friends when they started. It's just like this is our first time buying leads coming from a company that gave us free leads.
Right.
So the thing is, every time they said, like, oh, this person said this person, this is what happened. And I'm like, it's not big enough of a sample size. We can't really make a real read on the situation. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, they're not all supposed to work out for you. Remember, they're just leads. They're not sales. You're buying leads. You still have to put in the work. You still have to figure it out.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I used to always say. And I'm like, still rings true now. Like, I don't regret saying any of that stuff because I'm like, it's not going to change.
Yeah.
Like you kind of started looking into building your own leads or creating your own lead source.
Yeah. So I've been working on that since it's been almost 3 years in the making. And the only reason I did it was just to, I started just as like, let me try this out.
Right.
I had done it before for other, for other businesses and stuff. But so
which by the way, 3 years ago when you guys started with us, we didn't have nearly close to the lead inventory that we got now.
Right. Yeah. So before it was only, I think that when I was here, it was like either you're buying these super expensive leads through like,
third-party vendors.
Third-party vendors and a lot of H leads. So funny enough, when I started doing that, we were getting the leads super cheap, and then freaking FFL just, brought out the Insta leads for $11. I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna scratch this for now. Screw that. I'll just buy it from them. But since I already had that project going on, I decided just to keep moving forward with it. And thank God, man, it's a lot of trial and error. It's not easy, especially like I kind of touched on a little bit. The hard part is not getting leads for myself. The hard part is like the vision of being able to provide leads for other people within my team, or eventually become maybe a business out of it or something like that. So that's the hard part, to scale that business.
Right. Because I mean, we've talked about this. I mean, you're looking to build a team, and obviously you want to build a big business because that's just all you think.
Yeah.
But then if it was just you like generating leads wouldn't be that big of an issue. Finding leads wouldn't be that big of an issue. So it's more about the long-term projection of where you see your business going. Right.
Right. So really quick, one thing that I now that I'm doing my own leads, and prior to that, I tried out every lead that there is. I tried out the instant leads. I tried the H leads. I tried happy agent leads. Every lead I tried, AWL. I tried freaking data lot, live transfers, everything, and I gave everything a chance. And it wasn't like, let me just do a week of it or invest $500 into this. Everything I've ever did was like, let's go all into it. Let's do a whole 30 to 60 days, just specifically that, so that you can really understand the numbers of it. Because a lot of people give up because it's like, oh, I had a bad week. But this business, man, sometimes you got to build not sometimes, all the time, you have to focus on building a pipeline. And that's where the real money's at. A lot of the times we just, we buy leads. We got no show. Cool. Scrap those those appointments. We forget all about it, buying more leads, which is good. You should always keep that consistent lead flow. That's something that I found out
Yeah.
And it's something that has always been told to us, right? Like, hey, buy leads every week, have a consistent lead flow. However, also having a lead strategy with those leads that you've bought and the people that you booked appointments with, following up with them. But when I was trying everything out, I came to realize every lead works.
Yeah.
Every freaking lead works, man. Like, you know, some leads, it's going to be a little bit more. If you buy an H lead, you're buying cheaper leads. You're going to get a little bit less quality from it. You're going to get a lot more, you know, wrong numbers, people that already got talked to that were not interested somehow still ended up in that funnel. But
you got to put in more work with it.
You have to put in a lot more work. The more you pay for the lead, it alleviates some time.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you still have to work the shit out of these leads, man, all the freaking time. Like, you have to constantly. I always try to post stuff on the group me whenever I make sales, like just to like be transparent with everybody. Most of my sales come out of like, this person no-showed me like 5 times before.
Right.
What would have happened if I wouldn't have, you know, kept calling this person and rebooking? I would have lost that. And some of the times those are the most solid sales and the easiest, because they're already like, dude, this guy is really consistent. 1, 2, it's a real business. They're still here 3-4 weeks after, you know. So when I close that deal, I realized that they're very easy to close.
Yeah.
You know,
Sometimes the only objection is not meeting with you.
Yeah.
But once you finally meet with them, that's it. It's
right.
that deal.
So now, right now that I'm doing my own leads and that I started this kind of like a vendor, there's nothing different. The lead quality, people ask me like, oh man, like what kind of leads are you working? I mean, the same quality, to be honest, man. It's the same lead quality as any other lead quality that there is out there. Why it's working is because I'm committed to it.
Right.
That's the only thing, is I'm really committed to it because I've already invested a lot of time, effort, and money into this. So I'm like, dude, we're going to work these freaking leads.
Yeah.
And that's where I started noticing the changes. Like, and I've had an opportunity to talk to some people because they reach out to me and I'm like, look, dude, stick to one lead. Like, stick to one lead. You know, try it out. Try that lead out for 30, 60 days. You know, worst case scenario, you're going to break even all the time. I've never had any lead that I did not at least break even. Right. And if it starts working for you, now you incorporate another lead, but you still keep that lead. So the way I tell people is like, you know, you go from 100% investing into this lead to you keep it, you bring your budget down to 75% and put 25% in the new lead that you're trying to try out. And you do it for another 30, 60, 90 days. Right. And then you kind of get a bigger sample, and you're not going to just switch your algorithm, you know, because all the leads have, like, if you pay attention to it, it's like they all have the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, like they give the same objections. Like, oh no, I just, you know, I thought it was Social Security. I thought it was like free. I thought every lead company has that same experience, man. But when you're able to work one solid lead, and I think that's what worked for the previous company that we're with, like they only had 2 leads, right? The 2 lead types, and it worked out for them. They were not the best leads, but it worked out for them, right? Because they were able to develop the skill to master that lead.
Right.
And I think that that's where a lot of us fail. It's like we don't give ourselves enough time to master that lead, right, and the presentation for that specific lead.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, you know, those leads were garbage, but the things we still sold them.
Right.
Because the thing is, like, there was no other way. It's like, we got to figure out how to do it. And we got to understand these numbers, and we got to put in the work, because there's no other alternative.
Right.
Right. So you can always do that. I mean, that's the thing about the leads here. Look, I mean, we said it plenty of times. Would you say the statement is true? All leads suck, but all leads work.
Right. Yeah. 100%.
So the thing is, sometimes people get too tied up in, oh, this person, you know, they sold this one lead. I'm gonna start. That's the reason why I'm not selling. I need to get these leads, and that's the only reason. That's the only thing. I mean, you're really limiting yourself by doing so. Now, obviously, everyone's going to develop their preferences over time. You know, so figure out, master one type of lead, and then we have so many different options. Figure out what's your preference first of all,
right? And
then once you do that, you got to diversify,
right?
You know, 100%. Because that one lead source could get a hiccup, dry up. You know, you could, you know, something could happen.
Right.
So you never want to be entirely dependent. You always have to diversify in your business, and that's the one way to do it.
Yeah. I was reading a book, One Page Marketing, and it talked about like the most successful people in business have at least 6 different marketing avenues to generate business. And, you know, that's something that really stuck with me, and because it's true. You know, a lot of the time we just depend on one single lead and we don't try to diversify it. And sometimes it's not just even about buying leads. It's like, dude, are you promoting yourself on social media, like people to know who you are. Every week, every month, for sure, I get 3-4 sales from social media, just posting random stuff. Oh, like, I'll promote that I help 5, 10, 15 families, and I'll just little back end story to it. It's, and people are like, it's kind of like the advertisements on the freeway. Sometimes you're like, oh, that's new, but it's been there forever, right? So the same thing happens to traffic in your social media accounts. It's like, there's going to be times you post stuff and people just kind of just pass through your post, but maybe one day they like click on it and they're like, this guy does life insurance. I didn't even know that. And then boom, here it comes.
Yeah.
Right. So that's one of the avenues that I also use aside of the leads. And then obviously having like a lead vendor and then another lead vendor. And, I was talking to you about following up with old people that I've already sold to, so existing clients, following up with them. There's so much, cake left on that table, man, when you only sell that one person. A lot of times when you sell that person, you might've been in a rush. You might've been new. You still didn't have that like confidence into like really, dig into the family.
And you're not as good as you are now, right?
Yeah. So you follow up with them. I have a system. My system is my assistant follows up with my existing clients. Once they hit 6 months, it pops up in my calendar. She hits them up, books an appointment. A year later, 13 months after, we follow up with them again. And again, from there, we always get a sale. And it's funny because my clients will be like, oh, you know what's funny that you called me? I had lost your number, but my son is interested. Every day I get a referral, man. Like I always get a referral calling me or texting me or from a follow-up. It's like, hey, I've been talking to my family about it. And, those are easy layups.
Yeah. Your business is in motion and it keeps going.
Right.
Yeah.
So the way that pipeline, I think, is the important part.
Yeah. The way I look at leads, I look at it like from a scientific approach, man. So you diversify, you buy the leads, but you don't buy the leads out of desperation. You need to make money. I buy the leads with the approach of, okay, let me observe. Let me see how much I'm buying. Let me analyze how much am I getting returns out of this. Let me experiment again. Let me figure out, how do I scale? Do I buy more on this one type of lead or do another type of lead? And then when new lead vendors come in, I'm always the first ones to jump on it because that's like the R&D, my research and development. Is this going to be better than my current aspect of my business? So let me try it out. So I portion out a little bit of the budget, see what's happening. And then I analyze again. Is this increasing my business better than this old lead? Maybe I could get rid of that one. Right. So continue to work on your craft while you're getting better in your skills and presenting. Right. But at the end of the day, it's just a client looking for life insurance. So however lead avenue you got it from, it's still a lead. Right.
And since you started developing these leads a few years back, I mean, you sunk a lot of money into this project.
Yeah. Man.
Right? So the thing is, you're committed to this thing now. You're pod committed to this thing.
I can't let go now.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, we had a little bit of discussion, before we came on, and you were talking about if as soon as all these different lead types came out and how cheap they are, because we have real time leads that are $9 a piece. Right. We have the instant leads, those are $11. The new internet life leads, those are $9. We have all the age leads, those are anywhere from 50 cents to $8 with discounts and all kinds of different lead price points. So, I mean, if you're starting off now and you didn't sink all this money in, would you just?
Man, I'm just a crazy type of person, man. Like I like a challenge, to be honest. I mean, that's what keeps me going, man. I always want to, ever since I can remember, I like going against the grain, dude. and it's messed me up in a lot of ways. I've lost a lot of time in some aspect, but at the same time, it's what keeps me going. So I'll be honest, man, I would have still done it. Personally, I would have still done it. Sure. Do I suggest people to do it? Hell no. It's a headache, man. It's a headache. Like, there's a lot of money, a lot of time, and you have to sacrifice because, again, it's easy to build it out for yourself. Like I could literally just go on Facebook, create an ad, blast it out, and generate leads for myself. But everything that I've ever done in any kind of business, it's always been with the objective of how is this going to provide for my people? How can I simplify the process for the people that are coming in and I'm going to lead? I want to have an answer when they have a question. So, again, if I was just doing that on my own and, then I was going to get stuck doing it for other people anyway. So then I just figured, screw it. Let's blow it up. Let's see how big we can create this. So we did create a niche market for it. And I think that's a little bit more where it's being successful, because we're trying to stick within a certain demographic, a certain the people that we're targeting are a little bit different than the regular people that most lead vendors target. That's the only difference. But again, we still have a lot of people that are not interested, dude. I tell my agents, I'm like, dude, leads is like, it's like when you go to the mall. You go to the mall, there's a bunch of stores. And I sometimes I just go to the mall just for a walk. I'm not legitimately interested in buying anything. I mean, you have all these kiosks that nobody ever goes to the kiosk to go buy something. I don't go to the mall like, hey, I'm gonna go buy this thing at this kiosk. It's very rare. So I feel like leads, that's how I see it. It's like I'm a mall and a bunch of people are gonna come into this mall. And some people are, if I do good enough job, are going to be like, if I pull them, if I give them the little sample and pull them right at the right time, they're going to buy from me. But, a lot of the time, the leads are the same thing. The only difference, again, is just that I got comfortable with a certain age group. I got comfortable with a certain demographic. And I just felt like, dude, let's just maximize on that. I just wanted to create a niche market. That's the only difference between my leads and anything else. But we still get the non-interested. We still get the people that are like, no, I did it by mistake. We still get the every motion that I was getting from other lead vendors. I still get it. It doesn't make the process any simpler.
Yeah.
But where it's different, it's I'm mastering that specific niche. Yeah. And now my presentation becomes more solid. So when I'm in front of someone, I'm not thinking what I'm going to say. I know exactly what's going to come out of my mouth.
Yeah, no, I definitely see the amount of time and resources you put into it, and you're talking to your developers and whoever whenever you're in. So if you have that passion for it, because you see where this is going ultimately, and this is something you're scaling for your agency, for people that you're bringing on, right, it can help benefit them. You see a real value to it, But as far as anyone else out there, if you're thinking about whether or not you should, generate your own leads or to just go out there and buy leads from the plethora of options that we have, I say just buy your leads.
Yeah, no, dude, I'd say the same thing, man. It's a headache.
Yeah, and I looked into it when I first started here. I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna generate my own leads. It's gonna be so much better. I started looking into what went into it. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Yeah. Let's just buy the leads here.
Yeah, the problem is, bro, like it's not the generating leads, it's the infrastructure too.
Yeah, the follow up, the management, all that stuff.
Yeah, and that's what we had to create a whole CRM for it. We had to create a whole system. The way that they're called, the time that they're called, like we had to create a lot of things that was way beyond the just like we generate leads. Because like I told you last month, I generated over close to 2,000 leads. So the leads is a simple part. We figured that out when I started this, we figured that out right away. We're getting leads right away. The hard part is building, like, how are we going to create the CRM? How do they go into the CRM? Oh, we have to build out a whole CRM for this, where the leads come into, and then things that FFL already did for us. I mean, you go into FFL has the CRM already built out. The CRM is amazing. You can disposition the lead. You can do all that stuff under. So it was just, that's the where it gets tricky, and that's what costs money. The getting leads is effortless. That's simple. I mean, my suggestion is, like, if you ever had a thought of doing it, do it, but don't just as a new avenue, but still continue buying and having a consistent lead flow. But the back end work is what's difficult.
Well, appreciate you sharing that insight about that whole process, and I'm glad you're undertaking that endeavor, not me.
Yeah, man.
But part of sharing this information, obviously when we talk about leads, we know you're gonna make money off of it. Yeah. It doesn't mean like each specific individual situation. The thing is, you got to put in the work. You got to develop your skill set. As far as the real-time leads, I have this one new agent. We've been in communication all the time. He's been hopping on the calls. He's been reaching out whenever he needs help. So, he got to a point where he's a little bit stuck financially. So, we talked. He says he's been accountable for everything. And, he's a guy that, I would like to see him do well. I decided to get him a few leads. So I invested into the real-time leads. Actually, you can, as a person that has a team, you can actually assign it to somebody. So you select the county, the quantity, assign it to that person. So then I just started them off with 30 leads. Now the 30 leads actually fulfilled on the real-time campaign within like a day and a half.
Nice.
Like I was like, man, this is crazy. So, he's got to report back to me. He's got to let me know what the results are. But, the first few, like a couple, he didn't get hold of, or they claimed they didn't fill it out. But, that's something that's going to be a thing of the past, because they're going to start screen recording when the client actually, fills out the lead. So when people say, like, I didn't fill that out, we're like, here, I'm going to send you a little video. You can fill it out.
Wow.
Right. So it's good. It's a lot of good things happening, but the bottom line is you just got to get leads. And, we're sharing all this information because, look, we're all going to make our own money. We're all going to continue to run our business. That's a given, because we're just all very committed. But the thing is, part of being good teammates, like when you learn something good, or you have methods that actually works and could help other people, is to find a way to share it.
Yeah.
So it's a big reason why we do this, because we're trying to disseminate this information out to other people. So we're actually just talking about this podcast from Dave Anderson, the Game Changer Life
podcast. Yeah.
So Dave Anderson, by the way, he'll actually be speaking. He's one of the guest trainers at the National Convention in Miami next year, February 4th through 6th, I believe. If you haven't registered yet, FFLconventions.com. So
or your HCMS.com,
or go through your HCMS. So if you're already here with FFL, obviously you should attend this event. Right. It's a really huge event. It's going to be at the Lone Depot Park where the Miami Marlins play. Mm-hmm. Go Dodgers. But there's huge capacity for tons of people, top producers, top managers. We have these guest speakers. A-Rod's been confirmed.
Nice.
Alex Rodriguez. We have what's the name of that girl from last year? Yeah. I forgot her name.
Fighter?
Yes. Fly Girl.
She's Jocko Willink. Jocko Willink, military guy, So Jocko Willink will also be there. He's one of my favorite guys I love reading his stuff.
David Goggins? No, just kidding.
there's gonna be more people. Just start making up people.
I know. Tom Brady.
I like Jocko probably better than David Goggins.
Yeah.
Is that controversial? I don't know. Well, Jocko's like super smart. Like if you've actually listened to like his podcast, like he's super smart. Like
he's very methodical.
Yeah. Like I really like the way he explains stuff. Like I'm stoked for that for sure.
Yeah. And then you can tell him throw a flying armbar on you. Armbar me, please. No, but if you guys haven't registered yet, make sure you guys go to the site, register for the event. Make sure you guys are attending. If you guys have any candidates that are looking to FFL, this would be a huge opportunity and great time for you to send people out. They can meet a ton of people, just be around that energy. And Dave Anderson, back to his podcast. That was one thing that John actually shared this on the leadership group. And he was talking about 5 rules to be a good teammate. Mm-hmm. Right. And, being a good teammate, it seems simple enough, but how many people out there can actually legitimately say they're a good teammate? Right. And even if you consider yourself to be a good teammate, are there aspects in which you could be a better teammate?
Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot of things that we overlook. If you guys just had to throw it off the top of your head, without referencing the context of the podcast, what do you guys think makes a good teammate?
Team player.
Yeah. I think that's
collectively helping reach a collective goal.
Yeah.
I don't know how specific we want to get.
For me, I would say someone that adds value and helps you with your goal, kind of like we're saying, but lowers your work effort in a sense by helping out.
Yeah, John cheated. He got the answers ahead of time.
Nah, man. I made that up.
We're gonna have you on stage.
Yeah, obviously there's plenty of different definitions out there, but I think, as Dave Anderson put it, and I think that because you got to be able to put it in a very concise way. He says the definition of being a good teammate is doing things for the good of the team that comes before the personal comfort level, agenda, or pride of the individual. Yeah. So I think a lot of times, and we're all humans. We're all susceptible to making these mistakes. And there's times when we're just thinking man, I was there. I did it. I'm a good teammate. But if you're
showed up,
if you have your own agenda, if you're putting your own personal, pride ahead of certain things, you're trying to stay within your comfort level, not have to go too far. sometimes you might be an okay teammate, but you may not be a great teammate, which if you want to be a great teammate, just think about how much more the overall team can accomplish, which actually benefits you.
Right.
Because if you're part of a good team that can generate more results and better results, you're a part of that. Right. So everybody wins. But I think the reason why more teams don't do better is because they tend to let pride get in the way. They tend to think they're the secret sauce. They think they want to, I'm just going to isolate. If I have this information, I don't want to share with anybody.
Right.
So I think a lot of times people get in their own way. And the thing is, you're welcome to try because, this is your business, your opportunity. But if you've been doing it for a while and you're still at the same level, then it's time to change something up.
Right.
It's funny. Like the first thing that comes to mind is Russell Westbrook when I think of like a bad teammate that doesn't help the collective team win. But he's the GOAT,
scoring,
right?
bro.
Who cares? This is so I play on like a league, like a basketball league, right? And last week, there's this one guy that like is like an add-on. He wasn't even a part of the original team, but he decided to come play because Byron, Byron, he thought we needed another person, so he came and played. So he's really good, and he can do it all by himself. And he tried to do it all by himself, but what that creates is like none of us really cared at that point. We stopped playing defense. We stopped hustling because it's like, dude, we want to participate too. We want to feel like we're part of like a team rather than just like, oh, well, you can just have the ball. And then if you like get in trouble, you can pass it to us. It's like, that's not being a good teammate. And it, like in a team sport, which I think life is in general, it's like, how does that help? And that's not fun for everybody. That's not fun for the people around you. That's not fun for your family. Like that's such a sad way to live because at the end of the day, dude, if he did need help, most of us don't want to give it to him.
Right.
Not because we're bad people, but dude, like you can't just have this entitlement that you're, that you can receive it, but you can't dish it out.
You can't expect that reciprocity.
Yeah. Like it's just,
right?
it's messed up, man. It's not a good way to live in general. I think.
Well, that and other people lose interest. I mean, like, it's like that one dude at 24-hour fitness or LA Fitness. I mean, he can get some buckets, he can hit some threes, and then every single time he shoots.
Yeah.
And then like the thing is he can't win it by himself because like everyone else loses interest. They're like, okay, well, I'm not getting the ball anyway, so I'm not gonna play defense as hard. I'm not gonna go for the rebound. I'm not gonna like make sure he gets the ball. Like we're just all gonna stand around. Four of us are gonna stand around while there's one jerk shoots it every single time.
Right.
And
even if he makes rebound, even
if he makes a few. It's just it's like, and it's almost like when you like the other team knocks you off, then you're kind of like, good, I'm done. I want to get a new team anyway. I don't want to be with this guy.
And one thing that I liked about it,
week.
one thing that I like about it was when he said, it's never about you,
right.
And that I think that it's huge when you're part of a team. When you join a team, man, like you have to understand it's not about you, it's about the team, right? And I think that that's the really difficult part because sometimes you have some performers that are like great performers. And what I like what he said is like, he asked a guy, like someone asked him like, man, but what is the price of me like losing this person? He's like, well, what's the price if you don't lose that person? If you don't get rid of that person, right? So people like when you have a person in your team and you sacrifice your expectation, your culture, because this person could be a great person, a great producer, high achiever, whatever. Yeah. Then you sacrifice the long-term gains because most of these people are not going to be loyal to your team.
They'll create a toxic environment.
And they'll create a toxic environment. That's where you have a lot of people that'll start whispering in other people's ears, like, hey, dude, like, this guy's...
You did some extra stuff for him. You did extra favors and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
So, I learned that a while back, man. Like, I have this guy that's been hitting me up, wants to work with me. He's a top producer. He's in a different business. He's really good. And I've met with him. He's a cool person. He's a really cool person. But every time I have a conversation with him, it's about him. It's about just, hey, well, what if I come over and I bring my people? I mean, and I just do my own thing. Do I have to go to your meetings? Do I have to go to your trainings? I'm like, bro, it's not going to work, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, so you're asking me to give you individual attention? Like for me to like, when I have my meetings, you're not going to show up, but then I'm sure you're going to have questions because you've never done this. And so now you're asking me like, you're special like that. I'm like, bro, nah, stop it, man. We're not going to. Anyway, he keeps asking me, he keeps coming around. I'm like, dude, I'm not going to hire you, man. You're not going to work with me. You could go find someone else. I don't care. I don't care if you're a top producer, dude. You're just not going to work with me because I understand what happens because I've been that guy too. You know, I've been that
Nice of you to
person.
admit.
No, I mean, you have to be real. You know, I've been that guy. I remember I was working under a team, and, you know, I felt that my upline wasn't contributing, you know, and then I tried to exclude her from everything. And, you know, I once, when I was in her position, I was like, damn, I did this lady dirty. Like, that was dirty, dude. Like I'm a like, that's lame, man. Like, you know, I remember I would try to get my people. We'd go have our own
Secret
dinners
meetings,
or
something
secret
separate,
meetings.
right?
Yeah, very. But you know, that comes from I think that comes from a point, a place of scarcity, bro. Like, you don't want to share anything. You don't want to be like, you think that there's not enough for everybody.
Yeah.
And when you're part of a team, man, you just don't know that the connections that you're around, man, they can help you excel faster in anything you do, man. And when I thought, you know, you live and you learn, man, and karma's is real, you know, and something similar to that happened to me. So then I was like, you know what, dude, I deserve it, first off, but I'm grateful for that lesson, because now I see from a whole different perspective. So anytime, you know, when I'm part of any organization, you know, people ask me like, you ask me like, hey man, can you do this? Fuck yeah, dude. I would love to, you know, because again, I'm like, dude, like, I don't want to create that in my organization where I start questioning my upline, and then that creates toxicity in my, you know, it costs too much.
It definitely
You know?
trickles down. So whatever your attitudes and beliefs are, it trickles down. Something you got to deal with that aftermath. Cause I mean, like, it's very nice of you to admit that, because like, as you're saying that, I'm like, I like to think I'm this really evolved person, and like I haven't done that, but no, I've done that plenty of times in my life. You know, like, we're all human, and like, we've all been through those stages. So like, there's people that don't always agree with me, and, you know, it used to kind of bother me, because I'm like I don't get it. Like, I'm trying to you know, sacrifice for this. I'm willing to do this for this person, and they don't want it. But, you know, at the end of the day, I'm like, I've been that person on the other end at times. You know, to certain degrees. I wouldn't say to the same degree, but, you know, I've done some of that stuff myself, and like I could have been a better teammate, and like, when that kind of stuff happened to me, I'm like, guess, you know, I can't really complain about it. You know, I've been on the other end of that.
Live by the gun, you die by the gun.
That's right.
Yeah, man.
But then, yeah, to further expound on that, not only did he say it's not about you, he said it never was about you, and also never will be about you. Right. So that's the thing about working in a team. If you want to reap the benefits from it, you have to be able to submit and sacrifice certain things, because, you know, which is primarily mostly just your ego.
Right.
Yeah. Right. It always comes down to ego, man. This goes back to one of the trainings we had way back at our old company. And I think it was one of the directors who came out, one of the team directors or field directors, and they categorized teammates or agents. Mm-hmm. They gave them the A, the B, and the C. So there's teammates that are A's. They go above and beyond. You know, they do more than what's needed. Then you got the B's. The B's, they're there. They do their part, but they don't want to do more than that. Okay, they do their part. That's it. And then C, the C is the dead weight. They're the ones that's causing more trouble, not producing. And, you know, when we're in our business, that's 1099. How do you switch all these up? How do you maintain? How do you get the B to the A? How do you maintain the A to the A? And how do you cut it and nip it in the bud on the C? All these things make a difference. And as you grow with your leadership ability, that's where I think we can expand on. But also, you know, you got to figure out who's going to be in part of your team that's willing to make that difference and sacrifice for you. Right.
I think also it starts at the top too. Like, I think team people are generally team players, but if they see their upline or their leader, you know, not be a team player, then they're like, dude, why would I be a team player? You know, obviously, like, everyone's looking out for themselves. Like, you know, it's like going back to the basketball analogy, like that one guy was being selfish and keeping the ball. It's like, why should I be this, you know, hero and this self-sacrificing team player and, you know, hustle just for zero ball touches and 0 points and zero, you know, involvement in any sort of the offense. So I think, like, being mindful that, like, if we expect other people to you know, to be selfless, to be team players, we got to start with ourselves and have that feed into everybody else, because we can only control ourselves, right? So
Yeah, it's not an entirely selfless process either. The thing is, if you understand where you fit into this whole team framework, if the team benefits, you're going to benefit from it.
Yeah.
You have to see it from that perspective. You see it from that lens. So I think a lot of times people are too short-sighted. They're just thinking about, like, well, I didn't get this, and like, how come this doesn't benefit me? Like, I'm not doing that for anybody else, and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, man. It makes a big difference. Like if you like, I pay attention to the NBA, and almost anyone that gets to the NBA are great players, right? But you still have some subs, you still have some bench warmers, because there's different things where they hustle more. You got players in the NBA that don't even make it into the court anymore, like Udonis Haslem. Yeah. But he's such a good teammate. He's like the core of the Miami Heat, that they keep him around just to be there. Right. So
have you guys seen the Redeem Team documentary?
No, I heard it's not that
so it's
great.
Really good. No, I mean, it's short. So that's
okay.
It's not no, what do you call it? What's the Michael Jordan?
Last Dance.
Last Dance, 6 series. Okay.
But what was really cool that I took from that was, it's kind of going to what we're saying, right? Like they lost in, I think it was 2004 to Greece, right? So they lost, and then, Coach K came in and was like, hey, like, you guys are all great players. You guys are all good, but the way they're playing team ball. Mm-hmm. They're cutting, they're, hustling, they're seeing where the open guy is. They're playing as a team. Like, he's like, it's a team sport. Like, let's not get it twisted. It's a team sport. Like, you guys all have egos. You guys are all great. You guys all probably have dreamed of, what if we all got together and, took on this team. And he just made a really great speech. And that was a big part of the documentary, just being like, we need to have these guys play as a team. That's it. Because that's why they lost. They're all playing, they're all great. So they didn't want to pass.
Each want to be individually great.
Exactly. And they didn't respect, I forget who the older coach was, but Coach K came in. He was more military, comes from military. So he had military people come in, speak to them, being like, hey, it's not just about you. Like, remember, this is a team sport. It's about a team. And then, obviously 2008, they ended up winning the gold. So it's really cool. And it really opened my eyes, and it was a really cool moment. And it applies to a lot what we're doing. It's like, dude, like at the end of the day, life is a team sport. We need each other. We really do. As corny as that sounds, we need each other to be prosperous. So,
which, I mean, I think we jumped ahead a little bit, because the first rule, there's 5 rules. The first one was, it's not about you, as Jorge mentioned. Mm-hmm. The third rule, since we're talking about it, we jumped into this already. It's know your role and to maximize it.
Right.
So in that situation with the Redeem Team, or even the Dream Team, like all like successful organization, military is like a huge, it's a huge organization in which they have to employ this, because everybody needs to know their role. Like, not everyone can be the captain, and not everyone can perform the same function, or else the organization falls apart. Mm-hmm. So everybody needs to know whatever their specific role is, what their strength is, and figure that out, and then maximize it. Right? And there's time and place for it too. I mean, because look, I mean, I'm supposed to be like the captain of FFL Elite, but these guys run their own respective teams.
Right.
So there's a time and place for everything. So it's not just like, hey, I need you guys to like submit all the time. Like, I want you guys to like be your own individual, run your own agency, run your own deal the way that you see it. But then when it comes time to come together for a bigger purpose, that's when we need the teamwork to come in.
Right.
So that was number 3, know your role to maximize it. To jump back to number 2, it's continually make yourself more valuable.
That one's huge.
Massive. How do you view it?
That to me is big, because it's like, if you want your team to grow, you got to continue to, you're the leader. I mean, you got to level up all the time, continually level up, and you got to stay consistent. That was something else he talked about, being consistent with all that, over time, that growth becomes, what is the word? Exponential, right? But to me, that one has always been a very important core value to myself. It's like, man, like when I started FFL, man, like, I for me, it was very hard to start building a team right off the bat, because I was like, I have no value to bring to these people yet that I'm hiring. I don't know. They come and ask me like, hey, dude, what kind of leads should I work? I'm like, I don't know, bro. Or, what is the best time to call leads? What is this? I'm like, dude, I don't know. So I've always kind of considered myself, I'm kind of like the guinea pig of my business. I go out there and I put in all the freaking work. I put in the money. I do all the trial and error so that when people come in, I feel confident in what I'm going to, how I'm going to guide you to becoming successful. Yeah. And so that one stood out a lot to me. I love that part. And I always tell people with that, that when they ask me, I've had opportunities to lead very, very like successful people now. And I was always like, man, like if I don't have anything to say to this person, he has every right to no longer want to work with me. Because, dude, like I'm capping you, So right. For me, it's important to make sure that that the cap that I put in, people can still fit in there, and there's a big gap between us. So I always, I just started a book club, which everybody wants to join. You guys are invited. It's every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Shameless plug.
Nice.
What book are you guys reading right now?
So we're reading Your Next 5 Moves by Patrick Bet-David.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, I started that because I'm like, I figured, all right, cool. I want to start recruiting people. Now I feel a little bit more confident with what I'm doing. I feel like I don't have it all figured out yet. Dude, this business is always evolving. So you're never going to master it. I really legitimately believe that. But I was like, let me provide value first, and then people are going to come. Right. So I was telling my sister, I was like, they say that the master shows up when the student is ready. I was like, well, the student shows up when the master becomes a master. I was like, so let's master this. Let's start mastering this. Let's start providing value. Let's start. And then people are going to start coming in there. Right. So I started with the objective of like, let's create this. This is going to be a source of us being able to capture quality people that want to grow, and people that, I'll be able to like have in front of me and coach without them really knowing that I'm coaching. They're just coming. We're reading books. We're sharing thoughts. Started as that. But when we had our first one, dude, it went from like, we had 5 people to like this last Tuesday, we had almost 30 people on there. And there's almost 40 or 50 people that are showing up next week. And so I'm like, all right, cool. Now more pressure is on me. Cause now I'm like, when I read the first meeting, I was like, well, I already read some of these pages. I had some notes. I'm like, cool. But then I was like, dude,
now you got to have content.
There's more pressure. Now we got to
there's accountability.
There's accountability. Now I'm like, I got to really read these books.
Now you can't procrastinate on these books.
So pressure's good, and I like it, but also put me in a position where I have to continuously grow.
Yeah.
Because otherwise these people are going to be like, dude, like, yeah, I mean, it's cool. They read a book, they have fun with it, I guess, but there's not really much value in it. Aside of like reading a book, I could read a book on my own. So it forces myself to, again, continue to grow. Right. And that's always been my thing, man. Like, I just want to make sure that whoever I come across, like, they have the ability to learn something from me.
Right.
Well,
I mean, even if you don't have a team necessarily, the thing is, you should still continuously find a way to increase your own value. Yeah. I mean, if you're not doing that, the thing is, how do you expect to improve your financial situation? How do you suppose you're going to improve your personal relationships? Like, you got to constantly add value to yourself. I mean, for you to add value to other people, it feels great, but to add value to yourself, I mean, it allows you to have so much more to be able to give to other people. So it always starts with you first.
Yeah. I just feel like you are what you attract, right? So the higher you elevate yourself, the more you can attract others with it. So leaders are readers. So good job on the book, man.
Plus, I applaud you, commend you on that. But, as far as people look at it as such a dichotomous situation, if I'm improving myself, it's for the people. Like, just think about it from a selfish perspective, though. Yeah. The thing is, no matter if you don't increase the value of your business, it can't move any higher. And if, how pathetic is it to be like, hey, this is the pinnacle of my value. I'm not going to increase it anymore. I'm not going to grow anymore. Like, I'm done. Like why would you cap yourself at that?
Yeah.
So, that was rule number 2, continually make yourself more valuable. It's not about you. Number 1, continually make yourself more valuable. 3 is know your role and maximize it. That actually leads us to the 4th one, which is, do you elevate the performance of others? So if you increase your own value, what are you doing with it? Right? Are you
keeping it for yourself?
Right. Yeah. Which kind of, it's counterintuitive to the whole concept of
Building a
teamwork,
team.
right? So how do you elevate the performance of others, John?
So, well, one, what you need to be influential and share it, right? So if it's working for you, you got to be able to share that, because if your team makes money, you make money,
Yep.
right? But it's initially the first part is you got to have relationships, you got to have the conversations, you got to have the one-on-ones, you got to have a medium, a channel, wherever you're at, to connect with your people. So that's the first part.
Right. And that's the thing. I mean, not everyone's always going to agree with you. This is just life.
All right.
So if they don't see that value, if the thing is, you can just be like, okay, well, this person, and just give up and be like, this person doesn't care about me. Or, I mean, like for me, I'm like, even for the people that don't agree with me, like my thing is like, I'm just going to keep adding value to myself and keep increasing, my self-worth to the organization. And I'm optimistic. I'm hopeful that someday it will come back around and like we can see eye to eye at some point, because I think that person still has a ton of value to whatever we're going to do.
Yeah.
This is the story's not finished being written, so there's still a long way to go. So as long as you can continue to increase your value and then try to elevate the improvement, the performance of others. Yeah.
So it comes back to number one first about if like this is how I felt back then when it was about you, your ego. When you come in, you hire, you just plug them in and be like, leave me alone, go make money. Right. Let me know if you need anything. That's the ego in you saying you contact me.
Right.
Instead of us reaching out and creating that channel and contact, because that's how you can influence someone. They may be too scared to ask you a question. Right. And they already know if they're not producing, they're not going to ask you a lot of things because they feel bad about themselves.
Right.
So this is where we can elevate them and just small encouragement. Hey, I'm here for you. Just wanted to see what's your game plan. So small conversations like that helps out, and in a non-intrusive way, in a non-condescending way. And sometimes, it can come out, but you try to hold it back.
Yeah. Cause you never know what people are thinking,
or what's going on through their family or their personal life and all that stuff.
And we get this from time to time when we finally meet people. They're like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you're talking to me." And I'm like, no big deal, right? And then I just think how silly it is, because they don't want to bother you, or they don't want to inconvenience you, or they think you won't recognize who they are or know who they are or have time for them. But I mean, like, you and I have known each other for a while, and
Right.
we've always been cool.
Right.
But there's times when like we'll talk and you're like, yeah, I didn't want to reach out to you because I know you're busy.
Right.
Right. But I'm like, but this is like, how would I know that I can help you? Or if you needed something, like, I'm going to make time.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So,
But you always do, man. I appreciate that.
man, I'm trying to be a good teammate. Which actually brings us to the fifth and final one. And I think this is the easiest one to follow, is to be consistent, right? To be consistent and not conditional. This is the fifth rule of being a good teammate: be consistent and not conditional. So I think that one doesn't need that much explanation. But then the thing is, when it comes to consistency, it's like people just need to know where you are or where you're going to be if they reach out to you. Like, if you reach out to me because you need something,
right?
You'd be much more reluctant to reach out. You're like, if you're expecting, like, what if I reach out to Albert and he says like, go to hell, I don't have time for you.
Or what if you reach out to someone and then you expect what's consistent, that they don't respond within about an hour later, right?
Or they never pick up their phone for you.
Right. So if you're consistent on that, that's not the team player. You hit someone else up.
Yeah, that's huge, man. Being consistent. I think that's, again, and that's where the real growth is at, man. The consistency. Again, even if we go back to like just something so simple as leads, man, if you're just consistently buying leads and working the leads, booking appointments, dude, something will happen. Right. So I think that's what promotes growth in anything, whether it's in your business and your team. It's like, I think that's probably the biggest key part of it. It's just the consistency, man.
Right. It's like the Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hours rule. Like, no matter what you're trying to do. I mean, like, if you put in 10,000 hours of whatever you do, if it's editing or if it's producing content like Yoel, or as us, talking to people, recruiting, hiring, selling, whatever it may be, like, if you put in enough hours, even if you really don't know what you're doing up front and then you feel like you don't do anything, but you've done it for so long, like, there's just no way you can't pick up the things that you need to pick up.
Yeah. You're going to be like 80% mastered with 10,000 hours into that.
Right. So, I mean, that's the big part is consistency. Not being conditional is also an important part of it, because sometimes, and I feel like I've represented that in this business here, because sometimes people are like, oh, hey, because we got a big office here. And then when the virtual and telesales platform came out, and then when pandemic happened and all this stuff, right? Less people started coming in as frequently. And then sometimes people would be like, hey, are you guys gonna be open? If people don't come in, are you gonna still be here? I'm like, I'm here for me. Like I'm here to run my business. No matter if no one shows up, I'm still here because this is my business.
Yeah.
I can't count on it and be like, well, if this person doesn't come in, then maybe I shouldn't come in. It's like,
yeah,
who am I doing it for?
One thing that he said, man, that I really loved, it was that when he's hiring someone, he gives them the expectations up front.
I love that, yeah.
And that was huge. And I think it's huge for anybody in this business when you're growing a team. It's like, I remember some dude told me, he's like, never sacrifice your Actually, it came from a book. It's called It Starts in the Locker Room. I forgot who.
Oh yeah.
Gordon something, or I think that's what his name is. Anyway, but he says a big part of that book is never sacrifice expectations or culture, right? And a lot of the times when we are building, we want instant gratification, and we'll just allow anything to come in through our doors, into our organizations, right? So when he said that, I was like, that makes a lot of sense, and like you said, some people are going to agree with you and some people aren't. The right people will stay. And the people that aren't designed to be part of your organization, they will weed themselves out. I mean, it happens even here at FFL. We think it's an amazing organization. People leave all the time, right? People are leaving, right? Because it wasn't for them. It's all right.
It wasn't the right timing for them.
The right timing or whatever, right? So when hiring someone, that's something that I was like, I need to implement that. And sometimes we're scared, right? Because we're like, damn, what if he or she doesn't like that, oh, we have a Zoom, you need to have your camera on because we need to know you're paying attention. Something so simple as that. Like, and I tell them that, and they're like, whoa, that's a deal breaker for me. And then I'm like, well, cool, take it. Guess what? Now other people are going to see that and they're going to think it's okay to do it.
Yeah.
Right. So now you just messed up your whole culture. You could have had a Zoom full of people with the cameras on, interacting and all that. And now little by little starts trickling down, like, oh, this person didn't turn on their Zoom. And then, simple things like that. So when he said that, I was like, that makes a lot of sense. Making sure that we put all our core values up front, making sure we have all the expectations in place. And if you say great, then now also what that creates is I have an expectation for you. Before I can, if I didn't give you my core values and I didn't give you the expectations up front, I cannot expect anything from you. I have to allow it. And then it becomes harder to then try to, it's kind of like a bait and switch. Like, oh, we said that, you could build your own schedule. You can come into the office whenever you want and blah, blah. And then it's like, bro, my bad. I thought I told you that, we have meetings Mondays and Thursday. You have to be there because that's where we do our trainings. Well, that wasn't part of what you said, and then I'm like, well, yeah, you're right. I didn't say that,
right.
And so now when I hire people, I actually took yesterday some time to write down things that I want to see in my organization. And for me, it's perfect because I'm just in the building phases right now, the very scratch level of it. So I'm like, oh, shoot, we're not doing this wrong this time. I mean, we're still going to make mistakes, right? Whatever. But
you learn from your mistakes in the past.
Learn from my mistakes. And that was one thing, man. Like I remember having, I had teams before and I had other businesses and what always messed up our culture and what didn't allow us to create a culture was that expectations were never set up front. So now we have to do a whole bunch of repairing throughout. So now we're doing damage control instead of like growing.
And
right?
now it looks weird because now you're creating new rules for some people that got away with it way back then.
And some people are like, dude, you don't have this thing figured out, man. Peace out. Call me when you're ready.
Yeah.
You have every right,
Yeah, it's an ongoing learning process. I mean, I've for the things that I've done wrong, people that don't agree with, how I run things. I mean, like I look back and Dave Anderson talks about this. It's like, this was your choice. I mean, it's your fault.
Yeah.
And you should want it to be your fault because you can fix it.
Yeah.
If it's someone else's fault, you can never fix that.
Yeah.
So like, I look back and I'm like, I didn't set those expectations because number one, I didn't know where this business was going back then.
Right.
I didn't have the experience yet at that point where we are now. So, I mean, all those things, I'm like, I'm glad those things were my fault. And I'm glad those things was as a result of me not setting those expectations because now I know better how to set things up in the future.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's just like even like on hiring, right? What expectation do you say to an agent? It's like, hey, we have leads, we buy leads versus, yeah, you can buy leads when you want. You can just work your warm market. and it creates a weird expectation for them. So now they come in, they want the high comp, but they don't have a lead strategy because you kind of just alluded to it that we can buy leads if we want to. And next thing you know, they're not producing.
I think that also falls back in, in the value, having value, right? Because I had this agent dude, he hit me up. He's from a different company. He's like, hey man, like, these dudes are offering me, let's just say it was 125, right? 125% comp. He's like, can you match that? Or can you give me more than? I'm like, no, I can't. He's like, why? Are you not there yet? I was like, it doesn't matter. I was like, the value that I'm gonna provide to you, it's not worth 5%. Sorry, dude. Like, we're not gonna work fine, because when you call me and you have an expectation for me to answer your phone calls, I'm not gonna do it for 5%, bro. I'm sorry. Like that, but that's where the value comes in, right? Now, when I hire someone, I'm like, because I know the value that I could provide for you. I've been doing this for 8 years, dude. I've gone through almost every roller coaster I could possibly go through in this business. I've lost teams, I've built teams, do everything, right? So I'm like, you have to know your value. And when you know your value and you know that you're continuously going to grow and you have the consistency and the discipline and the commitment to that, dude, I'll bring you in at a 90%. You're going to make more money if you would have gone with someone that put you at 145%, because I know how to take you to the promised land, right? But that you don't know if you don't have value, if you don't consistently pour value into yourself. So then what do we put value on? High comp.
Yeah.
Right.
So you got value. You got to see what everybody individually values anyway. So that's the conversation. That's why building relationships is important.
Right.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So those are the 5 rules that we completely plagiarized off of Dave Anderson.
Yes. Turned it our own,
But the final thing about consistency, he said it's a choice to be consistent. So it's also a choice to be inconsistent. Right. So if you're inconsistent, I mean, that's a choice that you have decided to make for yourself. And, this is the thing, no matter whether or not you believe your tactics are correct or not, or if you're a good teammate or not, at the end of the day, your results are your results. And that'll be the ultimate proving ground, or the ultimate proof as to whether or not your plan worked. Right. So just keep that in mind. Hopefully that was some helpful stuff. Appreciate both of you guys' input.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
We'll share it. I know I only shared it on the leadership group. Let me go ahead and share it to the whole group. Yeah. So
share
if you guys,
we'll send it to everybody so you guys can check it out, and you guys can look forward to seeing Dave Anderson in Miami. So, as far as that goes, I mean, we got a big goal in 45 million for this you paid for the month of October. And that really requires some serious teamwork. So if you guys are in a position where you guys feel like you guys can help other people out, be a good teammate. If you feel like you're in a position which you can receive help, figure out what role you need to take in order for that team to want to help you out. So it's a give take in every situation. Remember, it's not about you. It's not about you. It's never been about you. It's never will be about you.
Yeah.
Continually make yourself more valuable, know your role and maximize it. Do you elevate the performance of others? And you got to be consistent, not conditional. So if you knock all those things out, you're on your way to become an awesome teammate. So be like these guys here. So appreciate John, appreciate Jorge, appreciate Joel, appreciate all you guys hopping on. Let's go out there and let's go be elite, guys.
All right. So we'll see you guys on Thursday at the BDM.